Hello, my name is Patricia Kearney, and this is my website showcasing my e-portfolio for the University of South Florida Masters of Education in Instructional Design and Technology. This website will show the artifacts that I've done throughout the program and how they apply to the AECT standards. So the first page is the introduction page telling about myself. Again, my name is Patricia Kearney, and I decided to take this program after speaking with my friend who was in the program as well. I have not had any previous experience in instructional design. I have been a financial aid advisor for 13 years. I currently work at the University of South Florida Health in the Office of Financial Aid. This program has been a valuable asset to me. So we are just going to go over the AECT standards, which are content knowledge, content pedagogy, learning environments, professional knowledge and skills, and research. Each artifact will provide a brief description and how it demonstrates the AECT standards as well as the AECT standard target substandards. Next page is my resume. Just goes over my work experience as well as my education. Now we will go through the AECT standards. The first page goes through all of the standards, giving information on them as well as each of the substandards. This can be used as a reference guide. Then I separated each standard along with my artifacts. So for standard 1 is content knowledge, and I use standard 1.1 for creating, which is the candidate must demonstrate the ability to create instructional materials and learning environments using a variety of system approaches. So for that artifact, I used a assignment from the current trends in instructional technology class that I took, where we had to explore and evaluate virtual reality. I wasn't well versed on virtual reality, so for that artifact, we had to choose a cause space. I chose storytelling, and from there, with that concept of storytelling and how to use it in virtual reality and for your classes, I had to create a storytelling project on Black History Month and do a lesson plan for that. So here that is. CoSpaces is great. It lets you do with the storytelling. The students will be able to make a story, and like I said, I chose and did a lesson plan on a virtual reality using CoSpaces for Black History Month. So the second artifact is for assessing and evaluating. Candidates demonstrate the ability to assess and evaluate the effective integration of appropriate technologies and instructional materials. And for that, I used another assignment as artifact in current trends in instructional technology. This was the educational game evaluation. For this one, we had to choose from two educational gaming websites, and from there we had to evaluate those websites. What were their strengths and weaknesses? How the characteristics of the game design was there a basic skill practice or a higher order of problem solving, the target audience, and the purpose of the game. And there is that. The next substandard that I did was on managing. Candidates demonstrate the ability to effectively manage people, process physical infrastructures, and financial resources to achieve predetermined goals. And to demonstrate that, I had a project in technology project management where I did a financial aid literacy computer-based instruction. And throughout the course, we had assignments that covered budgeting, project planning, communications, cultural considerations, and managing challenges. This whole project allowed me to do things that I've never done before because I've never done anything in project management. So I had to choose the type of approach that was used, determine what the key deliverables were, client specifications, the roles in the management of employees, financial resources, and budget management. So here is that project. And I chose financial aid. A lot of my projects will be on financial aid because I'm always trying to find ways to enhance the effectiveness from learners with financial aid because it is kind of complicated at first. So now we will go into standard 2, which is content pedagogy. So for the first substandard, I did creating, which is candidates apply content pedagogy to create appropriate applications of processes and technologies to improve learning and performance outcomes. To demonstrate that, I did a financial aid brochure for instructional graphics. And in this project, I used different softwares such as Adobe Illustrator. I used Canva and other pictures in order to demonstrate and make this brochure. And with that, I used design analysis, typography, and different learning styles to design the brochure. And here that is. I try to make it as simple as possible. The second substandard I chose was managing, where candidates manage appropriate technological processes and resources to provide supportive learning communities, create flexible and diverse learning environments, and develop and demonstrate appropriate content pedagogy. I did a language infographic for psychological foundations of education, and with this artifact, the module was spent learning about how to apply knowledge in regards to language with creating the infographic. I used theories and applications of linguistic development to create it. I used a website called Vantage, and here is that infographic. The next substandard is ethics, where candidates design and select media, technology, and processes that emphasize the diversity of our society as a multicultural community. For that, I used a Google Earth map, which I created in current trends in instructional technology. I created the Google Earth map using places that I wanted to travel, both in the United States and abroad. So it is an interactive mapping website, and I created markers and descriptions of different attractions that could be visited. I found that Google Earth Map is very user friendly, and it gave different cultures. The next standard, standard 3, is on learning environments. The first one I used was creating, where candidates create instructional design products based on learning principles and research-based best practices. I created a job aid in interactive media. The job aid was how to complete the FAFSA. I used Adobe Photoshop and Canva to create this. I used different learning styles and my target audience was for parents and first-time and college students. The next substandard is using. Candidates make professionally sound decisions in selecting appropriate processes and resources to provide optimal conditions for learning based on principles, theories, and effective practices. For that, I used the storyboard that I did in Problems in Instructional Design for Computers. For that one, I used the Mayer's learning principles to create the storyboard. For the storyboard, it's a visualization of a project. We had to do the storyboard for Lerchmont Appliances. It's a tutorial on how to do laundry using their top load washing machine. I used PowerPoint to execute the storyboard and created the different materials for the storyboard, showing what kind of font you would use and details for that. A storyboard just goes into in depth of what the project will end up looking like. So for the third artifact was done on managing, where candidates establish mechanisms for maintaining the technology infrastructure to improve learning and performance. I did another project from instructional graphics. This time it was a little different because we were planning instructional graphics. This led to my final project of creating the brochure, but this time we didn't have to actually create anything. We just had to show the steps of planning our graphic. So with that, I chose, who the target audience was. I used principles of psychological learning, the learning environment, and the delivery medium. Okay. So for standard 4, which is professional knowledge and skills, the first artifact for that is on reflection on practice. Candidates analyze and interpret data and artifacts and reflect on the effectiveness of the design, development, and implementation of technology. Supported instruction and learning to enhance the professional growth. For that, I chose the augmented reality assignment that I did in current trends in instructional technology. For that, we had to look up 2 cases for augmented reality, and in those cases we had to analyze their functionality, the target audience, and the types of theoretical foundation and learning theories that apply to that. I really did enjoy learning about augmented reality because I never thought of how to use it as far as teaching is concerned as an educational tool. And that's this. It went into the theoretical foundations such as constructivist and situated learning theories. And these are the 2 cases that I did it on. And for the next one, I did collaborative practice. Candidates collaborate with their peers and subject matter experts to analyze learners, develop and design instruction, and evaluate its impact on learners. I chose the Budget Buster project that we are currently doing in development of technology-based instruction. For that, I have 2 partners to collaborate with, which is Stacy Canfield and Randa Tafta. We decided to build a Budget Buster game so that students can learn about financial literacy and how to budget. So we put together the prototypes for it. We've talked to SMEs and we've found out what needs to be adjusted for our prototype, and we're now working on the final prototype for this class. And this is the different learning objective, target audience, our problem statement, goals. how the game is played. So for the last substandard of Standard 4, which is assessing and evaluating, candidates are to design and implement assessment and evaluation plans that align with learning goals and instructional activities. To demonstrate this, I chose from the Foundations of Measurement class a performance-based assessment that I did. For this written paper, we had to demonstrate understanding and creating a performance-based assessment where we created as far as what the task would be for the students to complete, the rubric for scoring. I spoke with several SMEs who were teachers to have a look at my performance-based assessment and to critique it, and from there I made those critiques. It goes into detail about what the project is about, which was on the civil rights movement, the target audience, how they would be evaluated, and also the learning goals for the students, and it gave teachers instructional activities. I also spoke about the positive and negative aspects of a performance-based assessment. And that's this. This really showed me how to do the performance-based assessment, how much teachers put into assessing their students. I never realized that until taking this course. Now we have Standard 5, which is on research. So the first standard for that is theoretical foundations. Candidates demonstrate foundational knowledge of the contribution of research to the past and current theory of educational communications and technology. I chose to use Artifact from Current Trends in Instructional Technology, which was the final paper. I did the paper on emerging technologies in education and what the future of the classroom could potentially look like. For that, I reflected on the past and how educational technologies were once used, as well as the type of that are used in the future. I gave information on the different learning models that there are, such as Keller's ARCS model. I also evaluated the use of virtual reality and augmented reality for educational communications and technology, as well as recommendations for educators. Here is that. And with this paper, it allowed me to explore deeper into the type of technologies and the instructional models that could be used for teaching students and how to help them using other tools like virtual reality and augmented reality. The next substandard for Standard 5 is method. Candidates apply research methodologies to solve problems and enhance practice. For this, we had a project in Foundations of Measurement where we had to, they gave information about 10 students and their student performance, and we had to conduct an item analysis on the set of students. We used different methods of measurement and methodology to calculate different statistical data, such as the mean, the mode, different measurements to calculate that out. I want to say Foundations of Measurement was a very hard class for me because I'm terrible at math, but it did teach me a lot because I did not realize how much testing and as well as standard testing is utilized not only for the students' benefit, but as far as funding for schools and what happens with different cultures are come into play of how they measure things for students in education. Here we have that. But I was very actually surprised at how well I did in this class because it was very challenging. And the last substandard for 5 is assessing and evaluating. Candidates apply formal inquiry strategies in assessing and evaluating processes and resources for learning and performance. For this, I chose the final project from my adult learner class. In that final paper, we had to demonstrate what we learned for the entire course. I developed a proposal for a mandatory semester course at a local community college. The target audience was the adult learners returning to college. I applied different adult learning principles and theories for that scenario. We did the research and explained how prior knowledge, learner attitudes, attributes, and types of learning environments may benefit or hinder an adult learner. I discussed how motivation and life experience plays a role in adult learning as well. For that, I just had to be an expert in adult learning and provide advice to a committee who would set up the actual deliverable for learners. And here we have this paper. I learned a lot in this class, and it also helped me to reflect on myself as how I learn from going back to school in this program. It did help me a lot. So the last piece of my portfolio is my reflection. And in my reflection, I'm just discussing everything that happened while I was taking the program. I learned a lot from this program, just from, I already have a master's degree, but this program showed me a lot about learning, and I can also apply this degree to my other degree in human services. I loved learning how to design. If I had to do anything differently as far as my artifacts were concerned, I would have been more focused on them. I did have a hard time, balancing between work and school. So for the most part, I did do my assignments over the weekend. I wish I would have found my balance earlier on so that I could have done a little bit more, because I felt like sometimes maybe I didn't do as much as I should have or could have. And I also would have prepared more for my final portfolio as far as making sure all of my artifacts were in one place. And I've actually viewed technology differently now from taking this course. I've always, knew that technology was important, but this actually helped me grow both professionally and personally. I hope you all have enjoyed my website. Thank you and have a great day.